All right, all right. I want to welcome you guys to Super Real Estate Sunday. Now, I'm going to leave that logo up there just for a second because I want you to remember Jack will in battle with National Land Realty. That's right. I'm coming to you today talking about land ownership, graduating to land ownership. But before you go, I'm not just talking about land ownership, I'm referring to the ownership of real estate. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of Alabama. National Land Realty is a nice nationally licensed company, and my broker, Jonathan Berryhill, has a license in Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. So we're here to help you with all of your real estate needs. I specifically refer to land ownership because I'm a land professional. Yeah, I'm a land professional. So what does that mean? Well, when you look into land ownership, it's a difference between owning land and and owning a regular residential property. And so I'm going to talk about a few of those things right now. Firstly, when you look at owning your residential property, maybe in a subdivision where there's an HOA, there are some things that you'll be restricted from. For instance, in some areas where there's an HOA, you're not allowed to grow vegetation. And in other areas where there's no HOA, there's still a restriction when it comes to a certain amount of vegetation in the area. Well, today people are interested in agriculture. They're interested in growing their own produce. So they're looking to own property where they can do that. They also want to monetize their land. You know, they want to lease it to energy companies. They want to lease it to agricultural communities, you know. So when they buy the land, they can actually monetize it. They can remain in their own home, you know, their 5, 6, 7 bedroom home that they've been living in. They can continue to own that. But you purchase land and you can now use it for investment purposes. Either you can monetize it or you can buy land and flip it. Because here's the thing about land ownership. Typically, there are no repairs to be made. Okay. So when you buy land for the purpose of flipping it, all you got to do is repurpose it. Give you an example. There was a piece of property that I sold in Auburn, Alabama. Actually, the address had it had an Alabama address, excuse me, an Auburn address and a Tuskegee address. All right. The unique thing about this particular property is that it was 39 acres of land. It's set right there in between both areas of Tuskegee and on Highway 29, and also right there in Auburn. It was a uniquely situated piece of property. Matter of fact, let me show you this property so I can give you an idea of what I'm talking about. All right, so you see how this land is set up here. All of this that you see outlined in the yellow was this property, right? So the people were interested in selling it so that they could monetize that land, right? And so the individual that purchased it, they already own their own property. They already owned their own home that they had been living in for several years, right? But this individual bought the property and immediately he began to monetize it. So what do I mean by that? What he did was he broke it up into particular lots. And I might add, in some rural areas, there are certain guidelines that have been softened, so they're not as strict when it comes to the usage of the property. Well, he happened to purchase a piece of property where the land usage was not restricted, so that meant that he could buy the property, and then after he bought the property, he could cultivate it. And guess what he did to cultivate it? He decided that he would utilize each one of those lots that he subdivided and sell them individually. So here it is. He bought the property for a particular amount, and here he is selling those lots at an individual price. Oh wow. I he he quadrupled the amount of money that he used to purchase the property. Now, did he maintain his ownership in his own home? Yes, he did. He kept his home. So when we talk about graduating to land ownership, we're not necessarily talking about moving your residence into a rural area or into undeveloped land if that's not what you want. But there are investment benefits when you purchase land. A lot of people are afraid of the stock market, which, you know, I would say from personal experience, there's nothing to be afraid of. You may want to get more of an understanding. You may even want to have a broker to help you professionally. but there's nothing to be afraid of. But if you do have a concern with something that's intangible, even though actually the companies that you're investing in, they are tangible, but that's neither here nor there. You can invest in land. If you've got an aversion or a misunderstanding of investing in the stock market, why don't you try, or you don't want to invest in tax certificates, um, real estate tax certificates, then consider purchasing, or you don't want to purchase mutual bonds or any type of bonds, no corporate bonds, or you're not interested in any of that, treasury bonds. Try this. Try investing in real estate. Now, you don't have to start with a parcel of this magnitude. You know, some people now, they sell hundreds of acres of land, right? Some people sell thousands of acres of land. This was 39 acres of land. It's not a whole lot, but for someone that doesn't understand land ownership at all, I'm a land professional. My job is to help you with that. So even if you wanted to start with a smaller parcel, you know, if you wanted to start with a parcel of only 2 to 3 acres, 1 acre, if you please, we can show you how to monetize that land in a variation of ways. Yeah, several ways. I had a guy that owned some land in Georgia, and it was actually only 1 acre of land, but he was able to divide it into 6 lots, and he sold each one of the lots individually. Yes. So he also saw a great profit in his investment. I think he bought that land for $85,000, and he sold each one of those individual lots. Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you how much he made, but he made a truckload of profit. Yeah, just from investing 85,000, which he financed, I might add. He financed the purchase of the land. So when he started to sell the lots, he was able to pay off the land completely. Yeah. There are all kinds of ways to monetize your land. So when I talk about graduating to land ownership, I'm not necessarily asking you to uproot from your beautiful home that you live in now to move into or to purchase undeveloped land. It doesn't have to be either or, it can be both. And that's what I wanted to make sure that you understood. That was a wonderful opportunity for them to see the benefit of property ownership. So when you talk about property ownership, even if you want to, you know, talk about home ownership, and remember, I'm a licensed agent, licensed real estate agent in the state of Alabama, so I can help you with home ownership in any state that our company is licensed in. National Land is a national company. My broker, Jonathan Berryhill, is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. So I can help you in those states. So when we're talking about saving up for a home, you want to grasp an understanding of how that works. You want to be aware that there's going to be a down payment that's involved if you're talking about financing. Now, I deal with so many people that purchase real estate, they purchase the home, they purchase the land, and they pay for it outright. But there are those of us who may want to finance for whatever reasons. And so when you do that, you want to make sure you understand that you're going to be paying a down payment. Now, if you're getting a FHA type of guarantee, then your down payment could be anywhere from 3.5% in that area. Now, down payments typically, whether it's conventional or whether it is some type of governmental agency guarantee, is going to be anywhere from 3.5 to 20% of the home's purchase price. And why is there that down payment percentage, and why does it matter? Well, firstly, the higher the down payment, the more your monthly mortgage payment is reduced. It eliminates the amount of money that you have to borrow. So the more money that you pay down, the less money you have to borrow. Also, it eliminates the need for private mortgage insurance. If you borrow at least up to, I believe it's 20%, or 20%, then you no longer need private mortgage insurance. It may even be 15% that you would no longer need private mortgage insurance. It used to be 10%. So when you're looking at the ideal amount that you want to save, what you want to do is evaluate the target home's cost. So the home that you have targeted, that you're interested in purchasing, look at the cost of that property, right? So that you understand how much you're going to borrow, how much you want to pay down on the property. Also, remember there's closing costs. I've dealt with some people before we got ready to close. They had the amount of their down payment. They did not have their closing costs, right? We were still able to get them into their property, thank God, but there was something that they weren't aware of. Even now, I want you to know you do get notified along the way, so that I don't want you to feel that when you get ready to close that it's a surprise to you as to the amount of money that you may need to close. Actually, within 72 hours of your mortgage loan application and within 72 hours of you even entering into an offer with me, I give you an estimate, a closing statement that gives you an idea of your down payment and closing costs. Sometimes individuals can just misunderstand or really not pay close attention to the documentation that they're receiving. I think that may have been the case in that situation because there's going to be closing costs in addition to the down payment. Closing costs can be anywhere from 2 to maybe 6% of the home's price. It covers the fees like appraisals, inspection fees, legal expenses, even sometimes the amount that it costs to borrow the money in terms of the brokerage fee or the origination fee. So you can minimize your closing costs when you negotiate. So sometimes if that seller is asking for X number of dollars, you can offer the amount of the closing costs on top of that sales price. And if it appraises for that, then what happens is you can ask the seller if they would be willing to cover that portion of your closing costs. And what you've done, you've not slighted the seller, you've included it in the price. Now, are you financing your closing costs? You are financing your closing costs. So in a case like that, you may want to take a lump sum and pay towards your principal to pay down on some of that you may be financing. You want to remember that there are ongoing expenses. Sometimes people think that when they get into the property, they've not thought about ongoing expenses. You want to remember, of course, you're going to have your mortgage payment, but it's not just the mortgage payment. You got to include, remember, there are going to be interest payments. That's called PI. But then you're going to have something that's TI. TI is taxes, property taxes, and hazard insurance. So with the hazard insurance and the property taxes, they bill you a certain amount upfront to cover the prorated amount of the taxes for that year, depending on the seller's going to cover a portion of it, you're going to cover a portion of it. They'll cover the portion for the time that they own the property. You'll cover the portion for the rest of the year after you have purchased the property. But then there's an escrow account. So there's money that is set up at closing to cover the escrow account. That's going to be in the closing costs. But every month, that monthly payment is being deducted. So it's added to your monthly payment to cover the cost of your property taxes and your insurance. So if there are any maintenance or repairs that are required, you want to remember to also have an escrow account for those costs. A lot of times people, they don't always consider ongoing costs that could be involved, and that's why I'm talking to you about these things, because I just want to help you consider. So when you get ready to purchase the property, you're not just thinking it's going to be the amount of the mortgage payment. It's going to include property taxes and insurance. You need to escrow or save something aside for maintenance and repairs, because those things will happen. And you already know you're going to have utilities, but sometimes you might have homeowner association fees. Yeah, HOA fees that are required. That could hit you from out of nowhere. So you want to be aware of that, because they can place a lien on your title, the title of your property. Yeah, if you don't pay your HOA fees. So even prior to, your real estate agent and yourself can research the property tax rates. They can actually research the property tax rate, the current property tax rate on the potential property that you're interested in purchasing. Yeah, they can do that for you, or they can show you how to do that. I do that for my purchasers. I let them know upfront what the current property taxes are. Now, it's no way to determine how their, what the millage rate is going to be for the next year, but I can give them amount, and I do give them the amount of what the current property taxes are. So I'm hoping that these things are helpful to you. Now, I'll be popping in and out of your social media feed today, because it's Super Real Estate Sunday. And what we do is we help people with homeownership pre-planning. Matter of fact, I don't know if you already have this book, but if you don't, pick it up. It's an excellent resource. It's called Homeownership Pre-Planning and much, much more. You can pick it up on Amazon. It talks about things that you can do prior to purchasing the property. It helps business owners who are interested in investing and purchasing real estate. It shows you how you can get qualified, what you need to do, what different programs are required. And it also shows you, if you're currently a property owner, how to pay off your mortgage sooner by prepaying the interest. People talk about prepaying or paying more towards your mortgage. But rarely do you hear people talking about prepaying the interest. Well, we teach you in this book how to prepay your interest. And so what happens if you prepay the interest, then that requires less money to be applied towards the principal, which means that you're more money to be applied towards the principal and less money to be paid towards interest if you prepay the interest. Why? Because interest on a mortgage loan is paid in the arrears. So if you prepay it, it's going to reduce the amount of interest that's required. And more of that money that you're paying on your mortgage payment will be applied towards your principal, thus being able to pay it off sooner. There are all types of opportunities in this book, tidbits of information that can help you as a current property owner, or if you're seeking to purchase real estate. And in the very back of the book, there are 15 different non-qualifying mortgage lenders that are there for business owners that are interested in purchasing real estate. These underwriters have underwriting guidelines that are conducive for business owners and how they receive money. It's called Homeownership, Planning, and much, much more. You can pick it up on Amazon. And of course, if you take the homeownership pre-planning course that we offer, well, then we give you that book as a resource. It's just provided to you. But if you're not interested in taking the course, which I understand, you can purchase it on Amazon. Guys, I want you to know that there's a way for you to purchase real estate. There's a way for you to own multiple properties, if that's what you're interested in. I want you to see beyond dirt and grass when you're interested in purchasing property. I want you to imagine homes rising on land that you want to purchase, homes rising all over the place, maybe gardens flourishing there, communities thriving there. And land that you've purchased and that you're beginning to cultivate, something that you may have thought that you never would have been able to do. Yeah, I want you to understand that you can trust that ground beneath you to help transform what you're thinking about into the foundation of your future. You can do it. The first step is to make a call. The first step is to start looking into it. Don't try to do everything on the outset. Step into it. And we're here as land professionals to guide you through it. We can walk you through every one of the transitions that may be necessary to help you understand the nuances of property ownership. I want you to begin to dream boldly, plan wisely, and pursue ownership with confidence, whether you're buying land or whether you're going to be buying a home that you're interested in. You need to know that God delights in establishing his people. He told us so in his word. Land ownership is not simply about possession. It's about purpose. Yeah, it's a canvas where dreams are painted, where families are rooted, and where generations are blessed. Yeah, that's you. I'm Jacqueline Battle, National Land Realty, and I am here to help you with all of your real estate needs and desires. This is a good time to buy real estate. Remember, it's a buyer's market. Yep, it's a seller's market. Baby, it's your market. Call me today.